Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Nowe odcinki każdego tygodnia. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy, bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Here we go. Episode 2. Breaking your conversation wall. Jak przełamać barierę językową. Here are some words and expressions for today's episode. Break the wall. Break the wall. Przełamać barierę. Choke. Choke. Dławić się. W kontekście komunikacji nie mieć pojęcia, jak odpowiedzieć na dane pytanie. Primal. Primal. Pierwotny. Insufficient. Insufficient. Niewystarczający. Remedy. Remedy. Rozwiązać jakiś problem. Confidence. Confidence. Pewność siebie. In today's episode, I'm going to give you some tips on improving your speaking skills and breaking your wall. Speaking amounts to about 80% of all communication. That means that, more often than not, we speak. We verbalize our thoughts. Conversation is also the most primal form of communication. Mankind spoke before developing writing. Why does it cause so much trouble for some learners in case of the second language then? Here are the most common reasons why some of you might have issues with conversation. Reason number 1, the lack of practice. That's something I've noticed during teaching in public school. Most teachers of English tend to omit that crucial part of language use since it's not the part of examination. It's only my humble opinion, but don't we learn the language to use it outside school, apart from tests or exams? Another thing is that learners are used to speaking native language during foreign language courses. The notion reinforced by the teacher using native language as well. Reason number 2, overcomplicating communication. That's what you get if you pay too much attention to proper grammar. Instead of forming a sentence intuitively, some tend to overcomplicate it by analyzing the sentence they are about to say in terms of grammar. As a result, they choke on conversation. It doesn't flow naturally. Imagine working on a really old computer. You want to run some application, but you have to wait until it finishes loading data. That's how communication sounds like when you overanalyze it. Reason number 3, treating mistake as a failure. That reason is connected with the previous one. Since school reinforces the notion that making mistakes is a sign of failure, learners tend to form a mental block. As a result, they may refuse to speak language at all in fear of making a mistake. If we combine these reasons, what are we left with? A learner with all the necessary tools, but without sufficient courage to use them, fearing he or she might break something. How to remedy that? Here are some useful tips which may help you build up your confidence. Tip number 1, emulate. Reproduce by imitation. Think about how you've learned to speak in the first place, as a baby. Your parents didn't hand you a thick course book. More often than not, they needed a course book about raising a child themselves. You, on the other hand, learned to speak through emulation. In other words, you imitated the sounds you heard. Next, you connected the sounds you imitated with the things you had seen or heard. I gather you did a good job on that part since you can understand what I'm saying. Whenever you watch a film or listen to my podcast, for example, stop and try to repeat some words or expressions. Tip number 2, read out loud. This helps you get used to your voice in a foreign language and improves your fluency. Don't get discouraged if you think you sound silly or don't exactly get it perfect the first time. Learn through repetition. Have a go, and then another one after that. Find some suitable article on a topic you find enjoyable, and then read it out loud. Tip number 3. Find a learning buddy. If possible, find someone amongst your loved ones, friends, colleagues or co-workers who would be willing to learn the language with you. Most of my learners in the language school are adults with teenage kids. Some of them admitted to asking for their children's help, and there's no shame in it whatsoever. Tip number 4. Find a native speaker near you. Language schools often employ foreigners who learned English or any other language as their first language. Native speakers are usually very patient and forgiving. Moreover, their language skills are usually far from the ones from recordings or language schools. The circumstances may be artificial, but the conversation itself is very natural. The final tip for breaking your conversation wall is to travel. When you travel abroad, you are forced to use foreign language, unless you come with someone who speaks foreign language fluently. But try to speak for yourself. The added benefit is that you are surrounded by native speakers abroad, and they won't charge you for conversation. I hope these tips will help you improve your confidence. If you follow them consistently, you will be speaking fluently in no time. In case you had forgotten, here's the revision of vocabulary for this episode with some example sentences. You'll hear each sentence twice. Remedy. Remedy. Naprawić sytuację. We need to take action in order to remedy the situation. We need to take action in order to remedy the situation. Primal. Primal. Pierwotny. The most primal form of communication is verbal communication. The most primal form of communication is verbal communication. Confidence. Confidence. Pewność siebie. Talking to yourself in a mirror builds up your confidence. Talking to yourself in a mirror builds up your confidence. Choke. Choke. Dławić się. W przypadku rozmowy zawiesić się. Learners tend to choke when they can't come up with an answer in a foreign language. Learners tend to choke when they can't come up with an answer in a foreign language. Break the wall. Break the wall. Idiom oznaczający przełamywanie barier. Breaking the wall of prejudice is the cornerstone of tolerance. Breaking the wall of prejudice is the cornerstone of tolerance. Breaking the wall of prejudice is the cornerstone of tolerance. And that's the conclusion of today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.